This is Beacon Films. This is my Orolithic interview, my Orolithic collective interview, or whatever. You'll tell me what to say later.
Hi, I'm Jay. This is Orolithic Collective. Today, we're interviewing my good friend, Beacon Films. Before we begin, we're going to take a shot.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh. Today, we're sitting with one of my good friends, one of my creative influences, and someone very special to me, Sun Dream, aka Christian, aka Beacon Films. For this interview, we're going to be focusing specifically on his creative venture, Beacon Films. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Christian?
Hi, I am Christian. Right now, I'm focusing on Beacon Films because it's my big visual endeavor. Gets a lot of ideas out of my head and helps me get better at storytelling, which will, in the future, get me better at making music. So, more of a filmmaker than a songwriter right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, that actually leads perfect into some of our first questions here. We're going to start on the topic of origins and inspirations here. So the first thing I want to ask is what sparked your passion for filmmaking? Was it any sort of particular film, any sort of YouTube video, anything that made you say, I'm going to try that, I want to do this?
So, no.
Okay.
When it comes to inspiration to me, I really don't like being so one-to-one. Like,
Okay.
oh, I like this movie, therefore I want to make a movie, or I like this song, I want to make a song. That just isn't how my brain works when it comes to inspiration. But I was very influenced by I grew up a lot on YouTube, really on the internet in general, but YouTube was my main source of entertainment and education and not to a parasocial length, but very I even like relationships. I liked people.
The friend in your life.
Yeah. But YouTube's always been there. YouTube
Same.
Premium is so worth it, and you should definitely check it out.
Agreed.
But yeah, I grew up around movies that I really enjoyed were I can't even remember what they were about, but they were like Mystery Guitar Man, if you know him.
Never. No. I don't think
Or maybe cartoons like Cyanide and Happiness.
so. Yeah. Maybe that one.
Or maybe a third one. Let's see. Freddie Wong. Freddie Wong was probably the biggest one. He was big in action and visual effects. So he has this awesome video where he's rocking out on top of a moving car. And so they showed the behind the screens where he's just on a parked van, but he brings out his guitar and he's playing, and they superimpose it on to that same van that's driving on the highway. So it looks like he's doing something super dangerous and
That's really
obnoxious,
cool, yeah.
but that was his brand, and I was like, that's cool. That's fucking funny.
Maybe they paid homage to it. I feel like in the intro of one of the Guitar Heroes, there's a dude that's on top of a van and he's playing. I wonder if maybe that's
He
something.
had a Guitar Hero video. He's I'm back from impregnating women and being fucking Brad and wearing chains, and I'm here to play XYZ on Guitar Hero. And it was one of the first Guitar Heroes, and he was surprisingly fucking good. He also played Guitar Hero while riding a bike, behind a moving car, and that was no visual effects. That's real. So lots of cool storytelling, lots of cool visual stuff, and that just really got my mind thinking man, I would love to tell, not just do stuff like that, but I'd like to tell my own stories.
So do you think for you, when you're making films, are you set on the storytelling, or are you more set on the visual atmosphere?
No amount of visuals can make a story. So I am more set on telling a story, and whether that's
Okay.
here's how to be good at Fortnite, here's what I think of my life, or what's another movie I made? I don't just people have to be engaged on a subconscious level before they start using their eyes, in my opinion. And that means that if they're going to watch my movies, they've got to be hooked from the very beginning. They're not going to invest their full time unless, like in school when they tell you, give me that hook as soon as you write your paper.
Yeah.
I want to know, why does he never wear shoes with laces in them?
That's what I was going to mention. Yeah, the Fuck Laces video. Great video. Go check it out on YouTube, Beacon Films. Okay, staying on this same lane. Well, one thing you said in the first question is, you're not one to have one-to-one influences, so to say. But I am curious because everybody has influences.
Right.
So what do you think you pull from in terms of, who are your influences in storytelling? Since that seems to be a big part of you. Is there anyone, you watch that you look up to that you try to, not necessarily one-to-one emulate, but you pick up tips and tricks?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a cop-out, but I didn't really start watching vloggers like Casey Neistat until earlier this year. Back when he was really big, totally I didn't know who he was, and not because I didn't want to. It's just I didn't think I would like his stuff, so I just avoided it. And then it wasn't until recently that it started mattering to me. So of course I subconsciously rip him off a little bit, but I don't know. I think I'm lately just trying to tell a shorter, more concise, condensed story, because I know people have a very short attention span.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Continuing, we're going to wrap up some of the origins and inspirations. There's a story you've shared with me that I want to make public. Talk a little bit about one of the first films that you made that you look back on in fondness. Yeah. I think you know the one I'm asking about.
Yeah. So Extreme Pop-Tarts was this movie I made when I was a young kid. I think I begged my parents to get me whatever camera Mystery Guitar Man was saying, you should get this, and just
it wasn't influencer.
Yeah, it was get this camera and use this camera to submit a movie to me, and you may be featured. And
okay, interesting.
And it was not a good camera. I did not like it.
Was it one of those flip cameras? Maybe
I think it was. At the time. It was a vertical camera.
Yeah, it's square. Has a USB that flips out from the side.
It's almost very similar to the one I have right now.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
why I like it.
It might have been one of the flip ones. Yeah.
And so okay, that's what sort of really made it click for me when people say the gear doesn't matter. Just get the story out. Get the point of the movie out.
Okay.
And so I was watching YouTube, and a lot of that internet humor at the time was very brash and obnoxious, and it still is, but it's it's a different level of obnoxious. It had that sort of Major League Gamer style.
Oh, so you're talking kind of like 2015, 2014, 2016
a little
era.
earlier, yeah.
Yeah, 2013. Okay.
So
exiting the Smosh era, entering the new, okay.
And so Brondo, it's not Powerade, but it's it was a rip off of it's got electrolytes. Does that ring any sort of bells?
That's from a movie, isn't it? Idiocracy?
No.
Electrolytes, it's what plants crave.
Maybe. I don't think it's from a movie, unless the whole skit was ripped from a movie, and then I only know the skit.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
I'll show you later. But I was okay, this would be funny if I took that energy, and rather than I saw a lot of people take that exact skit and just kind of change the name, change the jokes, and just do the same thing. And I thought it'd be funny to do it with not only a different product, Pop-Tarts, but I thought it'd be funny to do it with live action. This was the video I saw was a black screen with just PNGs of food and explosions.
Okay.
And
so not even stick figure animation, just okay. Wow.
It was bare bones, and so the humor was there. It was funny, but I was I could do more with this, but I could do something with this. I could riff off of this. So I had my brother. We were kind of just playing with stuff at the time, and I was like, okay, I want you to like smash your fists on the floor, on the counter, which will then make the Pop-Tarts fly out
So
of their
good.
packaging.
So good.
You're gonna like karate chop them mid-air. They're gonna spin and fly into the toaster, and you're gonna like
So
yell,
sick. That's so
and
sick.
and that's gonna make the toaster shrink in fear, which will retract the Pop-Tarts. And like that level of ridiculousness, I just followed, and I made it to the full movie, and it ended up being like my dad's favorite. I really am sad that I deleted the.
I was gonna say,
account.
do you know of any hard drive it could be on anywhere? Someone's old storage bin somewhere.
Not likely.
Not likely.
Not in my vicinity.
The Forgotten Beacon Films
Yeah,
first film.
that people talk. I'm gonna take this joke from my brother. People talk about lost media.
Yeah.
We need to bring that back.
Lost media. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually losing media. Okay, well, let's move on from, your origins and inspirations, and I want to talk more kind of about your creative process here. This is a basic question, but I think it's a good one to ask any sort of artist and their creative endeavors is, how do your ideas come to you? Do you plan and storyboard everything meticulously? Do you prefer to work in like a, looser, more intuitive framework? How do you think you work best in terms of
Okay, so I'll walk you through something start to finish. So ideas don't. When I first started really making movies, and like when I say I first started, I mean like earlier this year.
Okay.
When I started this channel, and I had movies that I wanted to make, ideas were just coming to me left and right, and I just like had my list that I wrote down, and I was like, these two words will remind me everything that I want to know about the movie that I want to make.
Okay.
That's just the idea. And so I would get the idea and I would write them down, and like, I want to tell a story about this. I want to tell a story about that. And I would keep these ideas just kind of in my back pocket, literally, because I have like this big sheet of rules and like
actually
and
keep
stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And not every idea is a good idea, which is why I kind of just like let them be a pool of stuff that I can pick from. If should I need some inspiration, I can decide maybe I want to make a movie about about adding flooring to the attic, or everything that I fixed for Leah around the house.
Okay.
Those could be cool movies, but I haven't picked them yet, and so I think that they're not as good movies as they could be compared to intermediate Fortnite tips and tricks.
Okay.
Because I picked that like right away and I ran with it.
Let's just to pause real quick to talk on that. What do you think for you? What made you think, okay, intermediate Fortnite tips and tricks sticks out more versus some other like attic flooring or other back pocket idea you may have? What is it for you that's like, this is the idea I'm gonna?
Well, okay, so like the reason why it didn't work out for me is because like I feel like I don't have that much to say. Okay. That's like early in the Beacon Films catalog, you'll see a video that's like 3 videos spliced together, and it's not that I didn't want to. It's like I wanted to upload those videos, but I didn't feel like it would be doing them justice to say like, here's 3 individual videos about. I'm not really saying anything. It's just kind of like I made a video to make a video, which is fine.
Okay.
And I still like them and I'm proud of them, but I don't know. I want to make sure that I'm like doing more than just reporting what I'm doing. That I don't feel comfortable in a one-to-one vlog situation or like, here's what I did today. I want to like have sort of a thesis statement about it.
So your ideas come to you, you kind of throw them in your back pocket, literally. But ultimately you want to tell the story, which is kind of what you were saying before too. You want all of your ideas to have some sort of story.
Yeah, because like ideas are cool. I love, like, I can make 100 ideas, but like what stories could I tell?
Yeah.
Maybe like 20% of those.
Okay.
But of 100 ideas, 20% of them would be actual stories that I feel like I could tell.
Nice. All right. I think that actually goes perfect into this next question of, what do you do to handle creative blocks?
I don't really believe in creative block.
All right. Expand on that a little bit more. What do you mean by that?
Creative block is like maybe I'm really misunderstanding the creative block, but like I don't ever not feel creative. Whether that's like making music, making visuals, writing a story, filming something, getting dressed, doing the dishes. I feel creative in everything that I'm doing.
So everything you're doing, you feel creative. I guess gearing more towards this question in terms of like your creative block specifically towards like filmmaking, and maybe the answer is
Okay.
you go do something else creative.
So
that isn't filmmaking.
okay. So like I mean a good thing right now, a good way to answer this right now is like okay, I have a couple videos like posted up, published, scheduled to be posted every Friday. Today is Saturday, so one just posted yesterday, and I have another one posting next Friday. That's the last one that I have posted. I have nothing else. So I have about 2 weeks to make and publish another video, and I don't really have a good idea yet. And so that's why I'm kind of just like, all right, I can't force myself to just work or like labor over like I need to come up with a new movie idea because it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be like
Yeah,
natural and interesting and fun.
that's a good point.
But I still want to be consistent. So the point is like step away, come back to it with fresh eyes, and like right now I'm kind of like for the first time in months I picked up programming again. So that's what the next one's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about like
Okay.
the hero's journey.
Yeah, refining your love for programming and
Just like I've hit an obstacle and now I'm ready to like overcome it, and
okay.
that has to do with like overcoming the creative block. So like, and then it's gonna be there again next week. So that's why I'm not like I don't get too hung up on I don't know what to do, I don't know what to draw, I don't know what to film, because like I keep such tight deadlines that it kind of doesn't matter what I want to do. It's that like
Yeah.
I've got to keep doing something so that I can stay sharp on my craft.
Okay. I think that explains or answers the question perfectly, right? Because you explained your current creative block of like, I got about 2 weeks of buffer time, don't really know what to do, and you're just like,
Yeah, I've got a couple ideas.
okay.
I've got a nice catalog. I've got a Google Drive of like 4 scripts that are like half written, and I could probably finish any one of those and put something out. But like
Yeah. Okay.
the ones I want to do it's always like I always feel best when I'm filming something from scratch.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's actually perfect into this last question on the creative topic process. What is it to you? What's your most favorite part about the filmmaking? Is it the writing, the directing, the editing, something else? What is it?
I feel it feels so good when it's just done. I've
What do you mean by that?
when I've finished like I guess okay, sequencing is my favorite part of the whole process.
Okay.
So I've filmed it.
Yeah.
I've written what I want to do. I've filmed what I want to do, and now I've taken the film and put it in order of how I want it to come across.
How you want to tell your story.
And that's just there's no visual effects. There's no
Okay, interesting.
no music. It's just that's the bare bones.
Do you think you would like
Product.
consider that directing in a way? Like,
I do consider myself like a director in some aspects, because like a director's job is more than telling people like what to do, but rather than
sequencing the story together.
kind of
like you
making
said,
it happen.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. All right, we're gonna move on to our next topic here. This one's gonna be kind of more on like the themes around your films and your storytelling. One question I do have, a lot of filmmakers have recurring themes or certain aspects to their work. Some are strictly horror, some are skit only, some are comedy. right now, from what you've put out, one is, your old stuff with the VHS stuff for like Sister Fisters and all that cool stuff. But the other theme I see from an outsider is you have a theme over like kind of like industrialism in a way of like how you're showing your life, and it's like this is how I live my life, and you're kind of like your theming is like showing you in a way and like how you exist and operate into the world.
Okay.
But what is it from your perspective?
I'm very flattered that you studied my work enough to see a theme, because I don't go into it trying to do anything.
Okay, so you have no theme.
I have no theme when it comes to making my stuff. However, like inherently, people are gonna have like patterns that they stick to, and they're going to like adhere to a theme or a vibe that they align with, whether they know they're doing it or not. It's very subconscious. So
Yeah.
I do think that like on some level I am just trying to document this life of mine. I don't not like I want to talk about the things that I think, because it's hard to talk about it sometimes. It's hard to just bring up a conversation about like why I don't wear shoes with laces. But I would think it'd be really interesting for my grandparents to see that movie. Just because, like, in no world does it make sense for me to like bring that up to them. Maybe it does, but like.
But now they get to have that perspective into your life that they wouldn't rather have.
Yeah, like, or sometimes I just have a hard time like having a conversation.
Yeah.
And like with a movie, I can edit down my conversation before it's ever sent, before anyone ever hears it, and so they get the perfect.
Okay.
They get the perfect like constructed form, rather than like me stumbling over my words like I am now.
No, I think that's great. One thing I wanted to note, since you said you don't really notice, one thing I've noticed as a theme in your film, this is why maybe industrialism isn't the correct word, so correct me if I'm wrong, but something that I've noticed in almost every single one of your films, whether it's like, quick fixes in the pink Crocs, or it's like a movie about tape, fuck laces, even your professional work setup, is one key theme in every single one of your videos is you have rules that you've set for yourself, and rules and guidelines that you live by, and you're sharing those with the world, not in a way that's saying you need to do this too, but you're saying this is what I do, this is why I do it, and here's why it's efficient versus the other sorts of lifestyles. So to me, when I think of themes, that is a very common theme I see from you. That's why I came with like the industrial, because that feels like kind of like an industrial type of vibe.
And that is true. I guess that's right. Because like industrial films are very much like think of, I don't know, for example, like Polaroid. They had to like make movies about how their cameras worked, and send them to people, like customers, and say, here's how the camera works, how it functions, not just how to use it, but like here's how it works. And that had to be shot and directed, and there had to be sound design, and it's like there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. And like I think I cut you off.
No, you didn't. I was
talking about rules though.
Yeah, rules. It's a common theme I've seen in your films, and so this may be hard for you to answer, given your previous answers. But if you could describe your films in just an adjective, like what would you describe your films as?
Structured.
Structured.
Yeah,
agreed.
I'd say structured.
Structured, absolutely agree.
And so, like, I mean, rules are set there for me, by me, because I know me, I know my life, I know my brain.
Yeah.
And I constantly am just having to trick my own brain into getting into gear and get working.
Do you feel like when you're sharing these with the world, is you, like, kind of using it as, like, a reminder for yourself to follow these rules? Or do you think it's more of, like, you're like, I benefit from this, so maybe someone else will as well?
That's a good question. I guess on one hand, it's like I can never be seen in public wearing like a pair of lace-up Converse again.
That's an interesting
so like
thing,
I've held myself to the standard. I don't wear shoes with laces, but like at the same time, maybe somebody else out there is a real anal freak about. I don't know. I will never use a spoon that has a handle longer than 4 inches, and that's fine. People are like very particular about their interests or their own living situation, and I'm very much a control freak, and so I'm kind of just like accepting it.
Yeah, structure. No, I think structure is a good one. Another word that I would use is like appreciation. I think you show your appreciation in a lot of your films.
I do have a deep appreciation for the mundane.
Yeah, you're showing like what you like out of the most boring, simplest tasks sometimes.
Yeah, the most boring thing can sometimes be the most fascinating because whether that's like programming is boring to some people.
It is, but
whether it's like
amazing,
search engine optimization, whether that's like Office Max for their wide array of papers and markers, like lots of boring things in life, but like if you pick it apart, like suddenly it's a lot more interesting.
Very true. No, that is very true. Cool. Yeah, we'll wrap up that category there, and we'll actually move on to this next one for challenges and growth. One question I had here is, what's something you realize about filmmaking that maybe you think people don't appreciate much of, or something that you came to appreciate more as you started getting more serious about it?
Something that I think people. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, and I'll make it easier. I'll make it more directed towards you. What do you think is something that you found that you grew to appreciate more as getting serious into filmmaking that you never really thought of before? Whether that's like, damn, I appreciate like the people that actually go into like sequencing stuff that you never thought of, or it's like adding sound effects to something, or it's like an appreciation for like B shots, things that it's like we overlook on the day-to-day, but as you're getting more serious about filmmaking, you're like, wow, I've grown to appreciate X, Y,
yeah
Z.
no I think I really have grown to appreciate just like probably the hardest and the most fun part of making movies is filming, because it's hard because the shot I have in my mind is almost never what I have
like available to you, and
or just like it like in the normal people music video, like all those shots that I knew where I wanted to shoot. I wanted to get certain shots, and they never looked like the shots that I ended up recording, and I don't know. I guess I find getting an interesting shot, like videography in general, I've grown a big appreciation for that, because I'm very much like this is good enough. I'm just trying to get this done. I don't really have time or the patience to like sit and make this one shot perfect. So
for sure.
Having like a nice catalog of that stuff is really cool. But I don't know. Videography is something that I'm glad I picked up in like high school.
Would you consider yourself a visual thinker?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like I think I'm the visual spatial something.
So you see it in your mind, and then that's what how you want to capture it on film. And you're saying you've grown to appreciate like how difficult it can be to capture the shot in your head.
Yeah. I don't want to invest in equipment because I just don't like. I'm past the point on the curve where it would benefit me a lot.
Yeah.
It would benefit me a little bit to get a nicer tripod. It would benefit me a little bit to get a camera that with a big lens that zooms in or something. Like it just wouldn't be as much of an improvement from like my shitty camera to this camera.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this one's an interesting question I was thinking about. If you could go back to young Beacon Films, and before you even got like super serious with the channel, like young Christian who started first kind of making films, what's the biggest piece of advice that you might give them?
Don't delete anything.
Great advice.
Definitely don't delete any finished products, but also like You don't even have to go to like young Christian. You can go back to Beacon Films, like when I was working with Sister Fisters. There was like, I think on two separate projects, I was working with, I was working with them, and they wanted me to like make an edit to something that I had that was done like 4 or 5 layers ago. I don't know how to describe it. Like I had to sequence a 1 minute ad. Once I sequenced it, then I added captions. Once I did the captions, I then added VFX. I added the visuals on top of that.
Yeah.
And then I would send it to them, and they'd say, "Oh, could you change this like caption at the very beginning?" And like, no, it's like baked in at that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I needed to be better at project management and like in the file management of that. But you know, you just learn that through experience and fucking up.
No, I think that's a great way to say it. Cool. That wraps up that challenges and growth question. We're going to move on to our very final category of questions here. This one is looking into the future. We got about 3 questions here. The first one we're going to start with is, I guess these two kind of go hand in hand. Where do you see Beacon Films growing in the next 5 years, and do you plan to expand beyond YouTube?
I don't really see Beacon Films growing because here's how I put it. That it sounds very defeatist, but I am merely just trying to document my life in a way that I think is interesting. And if that means that like I need to have for example, a new life to document, that I guess that's where I see it growing. I don't see myself making full-length movies. I don't see myself submitting anything to film festivals. It's not my type of vibe. I don't want to do that. I maybe. I'm not saying never, but I think that if anything, I see myself as sort of like whatever flavor of neurodivergent I am, I do want to like be some sort of inspiration for those people, and just like allowing people to let their freak flag fly. Just like I know I'm an odd person, and I don't really care what people think about that.
Respect. Well, I know that's going to disappoint some of the Beacon Film fans out there, but, all great things, take them where they need to take them.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's like I don't want to be the Simpsons. They're still going.
Fair enough, yeah.
Don't you think it would have been like, you can look back on, I don't know, you can fill in whatever you think this is for you, but like, don't you have a show that's like, man, 4 seasons, and they ended it, and I wish there was more, but at the same time, it's perfect where it is.
Yeah, there's plenty of shows, yeah.
And like, I don't think, to be fair, I don't think I'm ever going to stop making movies. But I guess the goal is like, this year, I've committed to like being consistent. I'm going to make however many, like as many movies as I can, probably like 52 at least.
Try to do once a week at least.
Once a week. I think I'm very much on track so far. But what was the second part of your question? You said,
do you plan to expand beyond YouTube?
Beyond YouTube. No, I don't think I can leave YouTube. If anything, I've heard that like other websites like Vimeo, they're a little more lenient with their content, like what they allow on there.
Yeah.
And so if I wanted to expand into something a little more risque.
So we can expect Beacon Film adult films coming soon.
That would be cool. Like imagine like the most like
imagine a real Sister Fisters.
Imagine the most like art house like adult film that actually like just like fucked your eyes while you saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great, and that's why I have the question of expanding beyond YouTube. That was the perfect answer. So get out, my boy. Okay, and we'll actually wrap it up with this last question. Finally, what is the next project we can expect from you?
I think I hinted it already, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable talking about it. It's the hero's journey,
The hero's journey.
which is it's not my story to tell. I mean, it is. It literally is. But like the hero's journey is like you read any good story about like a protagonist and their call to action, and they hit an obstacle and they are defeated, but they still want to pursue this journey. It's like it's about this next movie is about the struggle of overcoming a task.
Very nice.
I think that's the best way I can say it.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Well, that wraps up our interview today. I hope you enjoyed
Thank you.
watching this at home. This is Christian, Beacon Films. Be sure to follow him on all platforms. You have been watching an Orolithic Collective interview with your host, Hello Ghost, the most, and the toast. We're going to see you next time. Thank you for watching. Peace.
Thank you.
There we go. Cool. All right.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I think that was perfect.
Yeah, that was awesome. I like that.